All right, so one area I think clients potentially get lazy on is competitive analysis. I'm pretty passionate about this, right? So I feel like when you're looking at a brand, you're gonna be told by the brand, yeah, we've got competitors, but this is our advantages. Okay, go check them. So let's talk about what we do strategically in your market. Let's say you're looking at a brand in Salt Lake City, Utah, all right? You're gonna type it in, you got maybe 10 or 15 brands. You want some competition, this is important. If there's no competition, it's a bad sign, because likely there's not a need for it, right? So competitors, you want probably 10 to 15 that have decent Google reviews. What you don't wanna see is like somebody with 3,000, 1,000 reviews, because that's bad, it's a big dog you're gonna have to compete with. So I would start there. Then let's go through the experience. How do you look at these brands and be like, you know, how do you vet them out? So what would you do?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I advise my clients to do is simply call your competitors. Have them provide a quote. Document everything from the start to the end of the process, what their pricing looks like, what their follow-up looks like, their timing, those types of things. Because then you can start to compare and contrast what you're hearing from the franchise that you're interested in looking at. So that's hands down one of the biggest misses I see, is actually taking the time to pick up the phone and observe your competitor face to face.
Yeah, and multiple times. Don't get lazy again. Don't do it 1 or 2 or 3. Hit your top 10. Why not do it? And you know what, if you even want to go through the experience of like having them install, I don't know, a fence or something, go find one of your buddies who needs a fence and be like, man, I'm really deep in this process. I will pay 50% of your fence to experience this, or something like that. I mean, that's an extreme example, but that's what I would do. That's how extreme I'd probably get with my competition. So another way to look at it, you know, we talked about Google, social media. Yep. Fantastic way to do a little due diligence.
Yeah, social presence is huge, and that's, you know, if somebody that doesn't have a social presence, that's going to be, you know, a great thing for you potentially, and terrible for them. So you think about things like not just jobs well done, but testimonials, like customers getting on and actually saying how good of a job they did. That's so important, and people that aren't taking advantage of that, I mean, that can be a great thing for you as coming into the market. But yeah, social presence, not just a cool looking website, not just some cool fancy pictures, but a lot of extra detail. A lot of that is going to go a long way.
And if we're doing service brands, so we're talking about fencing or roofing or what, painting maybe, you can see their work, right? So they're going to be posting all the work they do. Yeah, that's a little shady, or like that's great, or wow, they do some big projects or whatever. Like it gives you a really good understanding of what they're actually doing. So I like that a lot. So then let's talk a little bit about the website. Like just go to the website. What's that experience like start to finish on the website? You see Google, you're gonna click on it, you're gonna go to the website. Is that a good experience? Are you having a good experience on the website? That's really, really important.
Yeah, and we probably won't get into it, but you can get really granular with the Google Ads piece and do a more in-depth analysis. How many times are X competitor being clicked on, and those sorts of things? It's a really big deal. I even had one of my clients, and this is a brick and mortar concept, set outside the brick and mortar for the peak hours during the week and see how many folks are coming in and out, even was a customer himself, just to get a feel, not only for what the competition looked like, but what would it look like if he was running that type of business. So it's a great experience for him, lots of good feedback.
Yeah, so going back to what you said about the advanced things you can do, you can actually go to Facebook, right? You can go to their page, you can click on page transparency and click on the ad library. You'll see all the ads are running. So you'll be able to see them and you'll be like, oh, these guys are running a lot of traffic. They're really active with brands or running, you know, these paid ads. So that's a really good thing to know, honestly. Another big factor is gonna be your competitors. Are they national brands? Are they franchises? Are they mom and pops? Which is important, right? Like if there are a bunch of franchises, it's not a bad thing. Once again, you know, there's a need for the service, but you're gonna be up against some different competition versus a bunch of mom and pops. So keep that in mind as well. Anthony, talk about like even your own existing franchisees in your own network.
Right, so it can be a really, really good thing or a really, really bad thing depending on what their reputation looks like. So from a local perspective, are they popular in the community? Is that something that is gonna be advantageous for you to go into? If they're not, maybe this is not the right business for you because you're walking into a market in a community that reputation is really hurt because of that. So definitely both sides of the coin that you want to look at there.
Yeah, I mean, if your neighboring franchisee who's in the same brand is down the street from you, your margins bump up against you, so your territories, you're going to inherit that reputation. So that's important. Okay, so we had a story recently, we were talking about this, where we had a client come to us because they simply wanted a fence at their house. They couldn't get anybody to call them back. Like, that's how much the demand was for this concept. And so they reached out to us because they're like, I'll just buy it, because there's obviously a demand for it. So was that your client, or? I can't remember.
It was my client. And oddly enough, he called and left a message with them and said, I have $10,000 in cash. All I want you to do is come out here and quote me for a fence. I will pay you today without it even being built.
That's wild. All right, so the takeaway today is don't get lazy on doing the market research. Think of creative ways, and don't just sit behind the keyboard, behind the computer, and just do it. Go out there, talk to people, call people, find competitors, find any former employees, whatever, to give you that competitive advantage. But if I'm gonna invest that much money into a franchise, into a brand, you gotta know your market, because once you sign that check over, you can't take that one back, right? You're gonna have to be dealing with these people for probably 10 years. So don't take it lightly, do your competitive analysis.